Hi, a very warm welcome to Dusty Shelf Collectibles. Today is part 2 of the 3-part series around the 1990 Mercedes-Benz C11 kit. This is a radio control car kit from Tamiya. It's one that I wanted to do and I've indulged myself. So part 1, I had a look inside the box, did a little bit of background around the kit and the history of, you know, numbers and things and all that kind of stuff. This is part 2 where we're going to build the chassis. Now my build videos get a mixed response because all I'm doing is I'm building it anyway, and I've just put the camera above and I'm filming what I do. This is probably going to be about an hour long. I'm guessing most people will only watch a few minutes of it, if anything. So I've left it all in there. Skip to the bits you want to see, and yeah, if it's of interest to you, please enjoy. Yeah, and I'm quite looking forward to this one. So let's go and get the boxes open and get building. Right, before we get started, let's talk radio. So what you need to complete the kit, as I've said a couple of times in the introduction, is a set of radio gear. So here we have a receiver connected to your transmitter. These have to bind to each other. It depends on what brand you've got, but with this one you plug in a jumper lead and you push the bind button and they connect to each other. You only have to do it, really only have to do it once. Once it's done, it's good. Then we have the ESC with electronic speed controller. This one is capable of doing just a standard motor, but also has the third wire if you want to run a brushless motor. So, but again, loads of those on the market. This one's nothing special. It's just one that came with another Tamiya kit. Then servos. Now there's a whole range of servos as well. The quicker ones, obviously, you can get ones that run very quickly and ones that aren't so quick. This one, not the quickest, but for shelf queens, I'm just going to show you. I can't see where I put them. So these ones I bought from Amazon. They're unbranded, they're nothing special, but they're Metal Gear inside. They're not too bad in terms of speed. They're not the quickest, but you get 4 servos for, I think it was 15 or 20 pounds, which isn't bad. You know, if you're just building, like I am, a model that's going to sit on the shelf, you just want this in there to hold the wheels straight. The reason I've hooked it all up to some electrics is basically with the trim here. Before I build, I want to get the trim set so the servo's set to dead center. So with that said, let's get the kit over and start getting the bits out that we need. Right, let's just move the body to one side. Put all the body parts over there. Make sure I'm not going to damage those. All the screws are in there. We'll put those to one side for now. Just empty out the box. Okay. I'll grab the screw bags. I'll just put this to one side. Right, 3 build pots, A, B and C. So screw bag A. Put that in there. Put that in there so I know that's A. Screw bag B. And screw bag C. It needs to go in there. Just on the bottom. Okay. Right, so that's me, the screw bag sorted out. Right, let's have a look at step 1. We are looking for this little bag here, which has the 2 steering arms in it. And then we're looking, now if you remember what I said, go to, if you saw the other video, if you go onto the back page, and in here, it should show you where the grub screws are. Right, MA10 is in screw bag A, and MA12 is in screw bag A, so they should all be in here. So let's have a look. Right, there's 2 grub screws in there. Now the reason I'm quite excited to build this kit is I know nothing about this chassis. I've not built one of these before, and with a lot of the other Tamiya kits, things like Hornets and alike, probably can build them with my eyes shut. I've built so many of them, so it's just nice to build something that's just a little bit different, a little bit unusual. And as I say, I've not done any reading or in-depth research into the kit to try and make it just that little bit more interesting when I build it. Oop, nearly got away. Kit does come with an Allen key for these very small grub screws. There's one in. And again, fingers at the moment. That's that one in. Right, and then the shafts slide through here. Half and half by the look of it. It's like that. 8.5 millimeters. Yep, that looks fine. And using the box wrench, we can drop these into, I think it's this one, like that. And then we can screw these. It does say onto the inner hole. Now I should have put those in before I put the shaft in. I'm just going to move those out of the way so I get this in square. And then we need to do this one as well. Now obviously with these two, you need to make sure that you can make a pair, so make sure they're going from the same way. I've done that many a time. Put one up one way and one up the other. Right, let's have a look at these. Right, it looks like we need B4. This is part B. So it's these sprues we need. Let me get my sprue cutters. And that sits on top like that, and this sits in there like that. little bit here. MA3s. We'll just see where MA3s are. They should be in here as well. That's those two. And a couple of nuts. Okay, right. So these come up from the base, like so. Try again. Up from the base. Look at the countersinking on there. Up from the base. Into here, like so. Onto here. Come upside down already. That way up. And there's two captive nuts that sit in here. Looks good. One of these, one of those, and one of those. And they go up through their bottom there. Screw into that plate there. That's it. Right, this point is putting on the servo saver, so I'll saw that in here. There it is. Right, let's see which one fits. Right, so that's one I want. So the servo savers, they come with adapters for pretty much any servo you can buy. So you just select the spline which aligns with the servo that you have, and this one and this one. Okay, right, so this was the point at the beginning to line my servo, because now when I put this on here, let's make sure I get this up the right way. Push that on there, you see now it's central. Now I cut off the staggered one, but looking at this picture, I think it's actually the flat one that I want. I may have to change that later if I've got it wrong, but you see there's two different types there, and I think it's this one that is the one that I need. So we put on our spring washer, like that. And that sits on there, and there should be, yeah, there's the washer. That goes on here, and then it's a case of finding which of these fixings fits. Could be any of these. So let's try this one first. it's going to be that one. It doesn't feel like it. Try this one. That's the one. Okay, that's that page done. Right, steering arms. So, in here, steering arm, one there, and one there. Just cut a couple of these off. I've never understood why these little ball joints come in sets of 3. Never understood that. When you only ever need 2 or 4. You're never ever going to need a... I suppose, yeah, no, you would do, because I've just answered my own question. So years ago, the speed controllers in the kits used to be like a swing arm on a second servo. You'd never used to have electronic speed controllers, and you'd put a third ball joint onto your, onto the actual speed controller. Sorry, I was concentrating. Right, so you just wind these out to where they need to be, like that. This one the same. And it's handy they've got a full-size schematic, so that when you wind these in, I'm going to move to another finger because that one's cut. You make sure you've got them right by just overlaying them. Spot on. Okay, right. Servo. So we need some D4s. So which was the D? I believe it was this one. Yeah, it says D there. Right. These nice big towers, the ones we need. And these are held on by MA7s, which is that one there, that one there, and 2 washers, one washer, and the other washer. Right, so this is a little bit confusing. So it's telling me to mount. I'll put it onto the low hole. Yeah, let's just onto the low hole. Don't worry too much. I can always move it this one. Right, short arm this side, and we're going through from, let me make sure I get this right, from behind like that, and the same with that one. Okay, right, and then we'll bring back in our chassis, and these are going around that way. And he's going to screw down through those slots. Here's that one. It may 9, that one, and that one. Okay. Clip those ball joints in place. It's always a good sign when the axles are pointing in the correct direction. It's a good sign. Okay, that's everything on there. So now, MA15. That's these spacers, sorry, I call them washers, they're not spacers, they're washers. They're not washers, they're spacers. And A4 is indeed the part I was looking at. So let's slide this off of here. this all go together. That goes like that. These come all the way up through all the layers to there, and then a couple of these captive locking nuts on top. And then I believe we need the chassis. Chassis slides in through here. There's a spacer underneath it, like that. And then again two bolts coming up from underneath. Slippery, this chassis. Those big captive nuts on top there. It's beginning to take shape. The Allen key caught on the bottom there. Okay, right, that to one side and on to the gear case. Put the cutters down again, I can't see them. There they are. I should mention the different materials that these are made of, because each of these sprues are from a different, you know, a different material. This one's glass filled, which makes it extremely strong. Whereas some of these, like this one is just a, I'll try and see what it is. Yeah, just a PC, that one. Whereas this one has got quite a bit of glass in it. You can see it on the surface here. The camera's picking it up. But yeah, it just reinforces it and makes it really, really strong. Right, need some MA5s. What there? Right, screw bag B. Put a whole raft of MA5s in here. And that one's 8, I believe. Okay, so let's make sure I get this around the right way. So this mounts around that way, like that. The two screws going from the side to there. And that's in. And the rest of it from that goes. I'll get the two screws on. Okay, and then this end, you make sure I get it the right way, I fit on like that. good. And there should be that one there, which is an MB3 ball joint. Box spanner. And that looks slightly larger, yeah, that one. Okay, that's good. Right, back to the bathtub chassis. And we need a chassis plate, which is this one. A lovely finish on that, look at that. Okay. And this mounts like that with 2 screws, so 2 MD1s. Which will be that one and that one. Go from underneath. MB7. These are rubber mounts. So there's 2 rubber mounts to go in there. And there should be a couple of nylocks, that they are. Right. So it does say to take care not to crush these rubber joints. So my fingers are too fat to get in there. That'll do. Okay. Right, so D3s will be these. Okay. So these spacers I'm putting in on the back here, I think, are for adjusting the ride height at the rear of the vehicle. So I'm putting both spacers in so it will sit low to start with. But I think if you want to increase the ride height, you take the spacers out by the look of it. That'll obviously bring the axle closer to the chassis plate, which then, because of the tyre radius, will lift the chassis plate away from the floor, I think. Right, that's that done. You see the suspension, there's not going to be a great deal in this. I just shouldn't have it, you know. Right, so I now need these 2 pieces. these funny grommets that need to be inserted. What you do with these, you actually just wind in a screw and it pulls them into the plastic, and you take the screw out. I think that's what it's saying. So we put this through, slide this onto here, and then we wind the screw in. Being careful not to cross thread it to start with. There it goes. And then wind it in until it's flush. I'm just going to go one more turn. Right, and then we take the screw out. Yep, that's all there is to it. Got 4 of those to put in, so that's one of them done. Right, that looks good. So we now need the shaft, the axle, some different bearings. This part of the shaft. So an MB8, which are those to show you the bearings. Now, so you know, I was saying in the introduction of this kit's, you know, it's quite an expensive kit, and it didn't superficially look like there was a great deal in here. Actually, now come put it together, it's absolutely fantastic. But unlike most Tamiya kits, look, we've got roller bearings in the kit, so it's you know, you can see that it's the engineering in the kit. Roller bearings, and you know, flexible chassis plate on the base here that obviously is going to fatigue, and you know, that's where the money has gone into this kit, I believe. Right, we need a couple of grub screws, which are here, one there, and one here, and the Allen key, which was still over there. That as well. Right, shaft goes through like so. Make sure I get this around the right way. I think this is how it goes. And at this end, now MB6. Just goes onto there like that. Next page. Right, dropping in the motor. Right, there's the motor plate. We want a couple of screws, which is that one and that one. And we obviously need the motor, wherever that went. A sport-tuned motor. I'm convinced these are just standard 540 motors that they come with a special sticker. Anyway. That's a bit difficult. That's one side in. Let's see if we can get the other side in now. Hopefully a little bit easier. The motor in, right, ball differential. So in here there's a bag of cogs, some of those. Out. Right. So if we take one of these balls, let's see if they go into the right, so they just literally drop into the wheel like so. They're just a little bit fiddly. Right, let's get this chassis back over here. Let's build this up in order. So this part with the spacer goes on to here. And then, so that goes on to there. Right. And we put some grease onto the plate. And this plate goes over like that. there like that. Wow, that's quite an assembly. Okay, now that's on, we put this onto here like that. We then put a thrust washer in like that, then two spacers, one and these are chamfered. That one goes around that way. That one goes around that way. Then we have spacer and then the nut. Wow, what an assembly. I quite enjoyed putting that together. A little bit just something different, something challenging. Okay, feels pretty good. I put the pinion gear on now. So grub screw. Again, looking for the flat on the motor. There it is. Really good. Lovely assembly, that one. Right, shock. Okay, let's get the shock parts. These are always fun to put together. Right, and this screw pot. Just move all these stickers over there. Move that over there. Right, let's see what it says. Need to get a pair of pliers for that one. That's that one done. Middle damper. So you've got three ratings of damper basically. You've got one hole, two holes, three holes. So the oil gets squeezed out through the holes as to give you the damper actuation, or the damping effect, should I say. So obviously with you know, if you want a very soft, well, softish damper, soft damping, you put the three holes in there. One thing that is good about Tamiya kits, these, is they appreciate that these small parts do go flying sometimes. So there's an extra circlip in here, and there's also been a couple of extra grub screws as well as we've gone along. That's okay, that's in nice and tight. Right, we need to put in a couple of O-rings, one there, and my mistake, I've got to take that one out. These should be red O-rings that go in here. One there. One there. And we need the bottom of the damper. Before we do that, right, do that up nice and tight. the tiniest bit of damper oil in there, just to lubricate the shaft, going over those rubber bushes. There you go. I'm going to pull that through. Right. Okay, and then we need to put the end on here, which is this one. Just grip that shaft all like that. Okay, now we fill up with damper oil. I'm just going to grab a cloth because we're going to need it. Damper oil. We put the rubber bung in the top there and screw the cap, which you should have really cut off before you did this bit. Let's just add a free pair of hands, and that just screws on the top like so. And just give that a little clean over. Get all the surplus oil off of it. There we go. Okay, it's looking good. Right, so then we need the collar. And the spring. Spring drops over, the collar drops in. There we go, one damper. Good. Okay, to mount the damper, we put this through here on either side. Gets a rubber mounting. I'm going to put in, so these are little spacers that you can add or remove to make the damper harder or softer. And I'm going to put them all in here for now so I don't lose them. Just little shims that sit under the spring. So, like I say, I'm just going to put them all in for now. There's 3 different sizes here, but if they're all there, then I've got them for the future, should I ever choose to run this. And yeah, they're all in one place then. Right, on to the rear assembly. So, let's cut this one from the sprue, and this one as well. Just put the lid back on my damper oil, that's it. Right, so that sits under there, and we just cut this screw bag open. And there's a pin. Runs up through the middle to here. The damper then goes on. Okay, and then this drops in over the top like that, and has a body pin on it. Like that. Okay, turn it over. Right, bring back in the chassis. And this little lot mounts over the top of here. Sorry, I got it round the wrong way. With the shock sitting forward. And they are mounted by MC3s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's done. And we just push the damper now onto the ball joint, like so. There you go. Rear suspension done. Okay, we're on to the homeward stretch by the look of it. So, need to reach across for this screw. These are all the body mounting pins, so let me just look at what we've got to do. So it's the big pin, big plate across the back. It's the 2 uprights to start with. They made one and a knock nut on the bottom. There's one. There's 2. Just look at the knot before it started. Right, let's do it again. Underneath there. Screws, make this clear. So we make sure these are E2s, the longer ones. These are obviously the body mounts that the uprights that the body will clip into eventually. So those 2 and those 2 as well. Right, let's make sure that's right, so we're going through the inside ones. making sure I put the hole sideways to hold the body on. It's in holder. You see through the hole, so sideways. So on this side. Okay. And then the front ones, I put down here. Get them up sideways. So just drop them out the screws. On now. Got the short screw on those up there. Let's check out with us. These things are awful. Put them anyway. There's one. Right, I think that's the chassis complete. So, time for a coffee. Right, let me just grab wheels and tyres. Now this looks like quite an interesting approach to mounting these. Just going to grab this little packet of washers, I'll put those to one side. Right, so let's try one of the front ones first. So what it says, you should clean up the tyre, so that's fine. Take some of this double-sided tape, peel one side off. We take off the white lining, like that. Okay, and we wrap this around our wheel, like so. Okay, that's one. Let's do another one. Like that. Okay, and it says you peel the outer layer, this layer, and you fold it back like that, and you do the same on this side. You fold it back like that, so that it's sticking outside of the wheel. Then we take the wheel and we slide that all the way through and over. Okay, and then we're just going to spread the wheel out so that it fits properly, and then we just pull the tape out. Apparently that's one of them. That's the other one. There you go, Tom. Right, just got to repeat that a few times. Right, let me take the corner that way, and take the corner the other way, and stop time. Like that. And it pulls up. One. Two. Two times, two wheels. Okay, right. Let's get the wheels on the chassis. It's a shame it's not got roller bearings in the front wheels. I would have thought they'd do that, but never mind. We'll have to replace those at some point. I'm not greasing the wheels because what happens it's going to be a shock when what happens over time is it just gets grease goes off and it just gathers dust and kind of stuff inside. So they're purposely not greased. If I ever do run it, I will take some time and do grease on the whole car. Different, slightly different because I don't want it to dry out and get damaged. Okay, and the rear wheels. It's actually held on with a couple of screws on this kit. On that. And that. So just line it with the hubs that we prepared earlier. If you remember those little inserts that we had to drag in, that's what these screws go into. One. Right, there you go, that's the chassis complete. I don't intend on going much further today. So, as I said before, this video I'm going to split into 3 sections. So I've already done an introduction video, which looks at the kit and did a sort of unboxing, see what was in there. This one is the chassis build, which we've now completed, and then the third and final kit will be the body and the finishing. Now, in terms of the chassis, when I did the first video, I looked into the box and this is quite an expensive kit. I kind of felt there wasn't a great deal in there. It didn't look overly complicated, it didn't look particularly challenging, and there wasn't a great deal. There's 3 screw packets and a couple of sprues. There wasn't a great lot there. However, now I've built the car, or built the chassis, I've enjoyed every moment of it. What a fantastic build. Challenging in places, quite interesting how the diff went together. I mean, you can see the diff here. It's looking pretty good, pretty awesome, all set up. Love the front suspension. I mean, there's barely any movement in it, but with the wishbones on there and everything, it does look the part. And yeah, it's gone together beautifully, and I've really enjoyed doing it, mainly because, as I say, with a lot of the Tamiya kits, I've built so many of them I can do them with my eyes shut. And this one gave me a little bit of a challenge for something completely new that I've not looked at before. So yeah, really pleased with it. It's good size as well. It's a nice size car. Yeah, and I'll leave this one there. Thank you ever so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you can like this video, I'd really appreciate it. And as I say, the final concluding part of this, of putting the body together and finishing the kit, will come up in a couple of weeks when I get time to spray the body. So anyway, thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.